What's going on? Hey, this your boy Lou. Just want to say, hey, que onda? It's your boy Huicho, El Huicho from Hacking Spanish. Yep. Hey, you're how I learned Spanish in 1 year. How I did it, guy. Um, it was cool learning Spanish. Uh, what I mean by learn Spanish. So the funny thing about learning a skill or any language, you don't really like when you're improving. It's just that like it's hard to gauge sometimes. But once that you don't need an online course anymore, or you don't need to use Duolingo, and you can actually communicate with people, that actually comes a lot sooner than a year. So like I would say if you're really practicing Spanish, you're really going hard. If you're, you know, doing all my strategies, that's in my Spanish immersion strategy guide. So the link is in the description box of the video of this video. If you run through those strategies and you keep giving yourself input, what I mean by input, like you're listening to music, you're listening to people speak Spanish around you, you're actively writing Spanish, you're speaking Spanish, whether you're talking to an Uber driver, whether you're on a train or trolley or airplane. If you like get an airplane, just say you like if you get on an airplane, there's probably a chance that the person, well, like if you're on the West Coast or maybe the East Coast too. I haven't been to the East Coast. I'm sure like if you come out of Miami, there's a chance. Yeah, it's like if you're flying out of Miami or flying to Miami, there's definitely a chance you're gonna run into somebody that speaks Spanish. So that's another opportunity you can speak Spanish. There's so many ways to have input but see, the reason why a lot of people do not learn Spanish is why I couldn't learn Spanish. I remember, man, I had like two. We had this one Spanish teacher. He was kind of, he just I don't know like knowing what I know now. I don't know if he was really a good. He wasn't really a good teacher because he was just kind of, I don't know. I guess he had just kind of picked up Spanish. But he didn't really study Spanish. Like he didn't really know a lot about. He didn't really teach us about grammar or the foundations, like the basics. He just was like giving us phrases and like little flash words. And it's like it's not that's not a good teacher. That's Spanish. So Spanish, how I was learning Spanish is what I'm trying to say. How I was learning Spanish before, I wasn't really engaging with Spanish. I wasn't, and that's why most people don't learn Spanish. They're not engaging with it. You have to like understand. Like it's crazy because it's a skill set, but just it's a skill set with your mouth and your ears, and it's a skill set that like you're not using your hands. It's like more your mental, your mouth, all that stuff. So it's really cool when you understand that they don't when Spanish hits you, it hits you, man. Like you never see it coming, but you feel it like when you flow, like when you go. Like you never see it coming, but that I'm telling you guys, when you get that, like all the things I was doing to learn Spanish, I was man. I took so many courses, and there was one course that was really good that I liked, and that's kind of what I use that motivation. I use the system from that course, and I also add more things to what I got going on. I added more things to my learning process. Like I was learning the grammar and how to build sentences. That was great, but the thing that was also good is that I was speaking with people. Because I was living in Mexico. But the funny thing is, though, knowing what I know now, I didn't even have to go to Mexico to do like the process that I did is easily replicatable in any city in America. Like if you're in America and you live in Chicago, California, Texas, Florida, New York City, Arizona, if you're like in these areas, especially Texas and stuff like that, there's Spanish speakers around you. So you just have to engage more. You just have to like get out your comfort zone and actually speak and talk and do a little bit of that every day. That's really it's kind of simple. It's kind of crazy, you know, how like when I realized how simple it was, how simple the whole process was, it's like, wow, that's all I need to do is just talk to people. I changed my Netflix. I changed like my all the subtitles of Spanish. You know, like my shows that I was watching, like they're English shows, but I had like they were speaking in English, but I had Spanish subtitles. That way, I could just put the words to the words at the same time. Like, okay, so when they say this in Spanish, I mean this in English. Okay, just seeing that on the screen and hearing it at the same time was like a mental. It was like two inputs. Like I'm reading it and I'm hearing it at the same time. It's being talked to me, and I'm digesting the content. So much information, so much content that we see every day. It kind of bombards you, and then you kind of realize that it's really not hard. If I just give myself a year to complete a task, I can accomplish it. And that's all I had to do with Spanish. I just had to instead of trying to learn Spanish in the first year or the second year. I mean, excuse me, the first week. I'm sorry. What I meant to say. Instead of trying to learn Spanish in 1 week or 2 months or 3 months, no, man. I just gave myself 1 year. That's actually all you really need. And the funny thing is, what I meant though is that I actually learned Spanish probably less than a year. I probably learned Spanish to be honest with you in like 6 months. I remember I was in the apartment complex I'm at, man. It's funny, like they all spoke English, but like they were also speaking Spanish. And I kind of noticed that, the speaking Spanish had a lot of advantages. I know living in Mexico. I mean, everybody was cool, but I noticed that, they were kind of like I was the only American that spoke Spanish in my whole apartment complex, and it was kind of crazy because I was hanging with the Mexicans a lot because I spoke Spanish, and the Americans who didn't speak Spanish, they never really didn't. The only thing they really did was go to the strip club. But me, I was like, since I was hanging with the Mexicans, they were showing me like all the type of cool stuff, like the beach, like trips. We went to Mexico City. I saw the Sun Pyramid. I got to the top. That was pretty cool. Man, my buddy Carlos, he was a good guy. He helped me out a lot with certain things, and he tried to help me with some other things. But he was a good guy. He was, he was really a really good friend that I had that was Mexican. I met his whole family. His grandfather passed away. Um, I found out. So yeah, but he was a good friend of mine. I talked to him. When I was in Colombia, he's doing good. But yeah, just so I was actually speaking Spanish, and I remember people were telling me that they spoke Spanish, or I'm excuse me, they couldn't believe I could speak Spanish in only 6 months, and that's just and the funny thing is though, knowing what I know now, I really wasn't that good at Spanish, but I had made a lot of progress from you know to where I could actually understand and people could understand me, and that's really where you really want to go. That how fast you get there is really just how consistent you can be, and then within the consistency, are you doing the right things? And like I said, with my Spanish strategy guide, I cheat sheet in the description box. What I put in there, I put like Spotify playlists. That way you can listen to music when you're exercising, when you're walking, wherever you got going on. That way you always have that input going in. So that's kind of passive input. I also give you like apps that you can download, like Spanish Dick. That's a really good app. I use that app all the time because it gives you like examples too, so you can like process and see like the use cases of these like certain words instead of just knowing how to say it. And I'm also like now I'm also really dialed in on like on reading. So I give like reading books in Spanish is like actually I think that will give you like a 10x boost. And my advice is to read a book that you may have already read before and just kind of read some pages. That's what I did. I read a book that I had known prior. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know you guys heard of that. I had read that book and because I had read it already, but I read the Spanish version. Because I remember I was on an airplane and I was sitting next to a guy and he had the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and I because it was Padre Rico y Padre Pobre. Padre Rico, Padre Pobre. Pobre is poor, Rico is rich, Padre is dad. So Rico Padre is rich dad, Padre Pobre is poor dad, right? So excuse me. Yeah, so that's pretty much yeah, I just so reading books, I'm just trying to think about some other ways. But yeah, you guys got it, man. I mean, just go ahead and check out that Spanish immersion strategy, and you guys will be good. Yeah, because like I said, it's about immersion, but it's also because I'm sure you've already taken all the courses. You've probably taken all the dual. You probably been on Duolingo. You probably made some progress. You probably did pretty good, but it's just something's not clicking, right? You probably did all the other Spanish courses. So I know what you're going through. I took all the courses. I know pretty much what's out there, and there's some good courses. It's just that you have to. There's it's everything. Life is about systems, and I think if you can put yourself in a system where you're just constantly learning Spanish as an input, like constantly, then yeah, that's what I recommend. All right, so that's enough on this one, man. Yeah, you guys have a good one. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe on your way out, and we'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.